How's everybody doing? Welcome back. Welcome back. I am Dr. Jacqueline Kabah Harrison, and I see right now that I have my collar looks a little bit crazy here. But at any rate, I'm Dr. Jacqueline Kabah Harrison, and you have joined me for another episode of it's actually the Eight Queens Roundtable Show and Podcast, as you know it as. But this segment is part of the Born to Lead docu-series. And basically, with this docu-series, I interview influencers, coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and we talk about leadership. Okay. They're going to talk to you about the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, all along their leadership journey. Okay. We're being transparent and we are just laying it all out there. And in hopes that you feel like you're not alone, you understand a little bit more about the journey and be able to walk away with some different tips and tangible tools to be able to fine tune your leadership skills. The Realizing Your Potential TV network, please, you can download the app from Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, as well as Roku TV. And we also are on iOS and Android. Okay. So if you have not done so already, make sure that you download the app. Okay. And if you like what you see, give us a good rating. So my next guest for this Born to Lead docuseries, this particular show is going to be Khadijah. And actually I don't even have her last name, but she's going to give you all that in a moment. I'm just going to tell you just a little bit about her, okay? So Khadijah is the founder and president of the Craig D. Butler Scholarship Foundation, a nonprofit honoring her father, Craig, after he was murdered by a 14-year-old in 1999. Khadijah is also the author of Laying the Foundation, Brick by Brick, second edition, an informative how-to memoir teaching others how to start a nonprofit / scholarship program step by step. All right, so that's a little bit about Khadijah. I'm going to bring her into the studio, and she's going to tell you more about who she is, how she serves, and what she's passionate about. Well, hello there, Miss Khadijah.
Hello, hello, hello. I can't just call you Jackie. You work too hard to get the title doctor. It's hard to do that every time I see it.
You know what? Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I didn't have your name written down. And I said Khadijah, and I was like, okay, but okay, so Miss Khadijah Butler. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
Miss
So
Khadijah Butler.
welcome to the show, young lady, and go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So I am Khadijah Butler. As you mentioned, I am the founder and president of the Craig D. Butler Scholarship Foundation. My foundation was established in my father's honor. We have been established for 5 years. To date, we have provided 10 scholarships to African American high school seniors in Philadelphia. We expanded to the full state of Pennsylvania, and then we just expanded to South Jersey. We also have a couple of key programs. So we have our scholarship workshops. I attend a lot of anti-violence events in the city. But we also started our new initiative. It's the Winter Trunk Party, where we provide supplies to college students nearby. So on top of all of that, I am also an author. My second edition of my book is coming out May 6th. It's Laying the Foundation Brick by Brick. And it's basically me and my around the way Philly narrative speaking about just the trying times of getting over my father's death and how I decided to turn pain into purpose and help others start a scholarship foundation.
Okay. This is wonderful. I mean, I obviously not the reason that the
Yes.
set of circumstances that brought it about, but just I'm speaking specifically to the fact that, like you said, turning the pain into purpose and being able to help. How many did you say? Did you say 10
We
scholarships?
provided 10 thus far. Next week is actually our scholarship deadline, so it'll be 12.
Okay.
So yes, it will be 12 scholars thus far.
Wow. That's awesome. So I'm just kind of jumping around a little bit, just different things I heard you talk about. So you're in Philadelphia?
So I used to be in Philadelphia. That's where my foundation is established, but I'm in South Jersey right now. So I've
Mm.
also been trying to just provide like some awareness, just to let some of the schools know.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing, as far as just to answer your first point about my passion, is really, I feel like I'm the mission. Like, coming from an underrepresented community, I always say that I'm not looking for the Ashley Banks. Like, when we as a family come together to award our scholarships, I'm looking for the places that have the greatest need. And I think really it's because Philadelphia is always termed with the bad things happen here. Like, people are afraid to come to Philadelphia. Like, we have this narrative that Black excellence doesn't exist. So, I have the opportunity to amplify, the voices of these students that, no, like, most of my scholars have 3.8s and up, like multiple scholarships. Our last scholar, he had a full ride last year. Like, so he didn't even need our scholarship. Like, they sent it back. So it's really important, for me to not only say that while crime and the things that happened to my father, was the impetus of starting it, I think really highlighting the importance that there are students that actually want to, obtain an education.
Right. Yeah. Hearing you said it about Philly makes me think of, because I'm in the Metro Detroit area, and
Okay.
Detroit doesn't have the best reputation. People like, I don't know if I want to go there. So
Right.
yeah. Okay.
And I think that's what's so important. Like, it's like, instead of just saying, oh my God, Detroit, it's like, no, there's some good things here. I mean, outside of the Eagles, because we can't forget about them. Right. But, outside of that, it's like,
Mhm.
you just don't want that cloud. It's not just
Mhm.
the cloud here that people should speak of.
Right. So I do have another question. In terms of the foundation, what other initiatives does the foundation, participate in? I mean, and we know about the scholarships. What other
Mhm.
sort of daily, I guess, or weekly programs do you guys do, like,
So
in the community?
So we pretty much do. I used to do scholarship workshops for just the high schools themselves, but I
Mhm.
do recognize that if there aren't certain students that are attentive, I found that they weren't really taken to the information. So on occasion, quarterly, we'll do like a parent academy so that the parents will kind of come in, and, I'll provide a workshop, just kind of really just showing them where they can find the scholarships. In addition to my book, I actually have two planners as well. It's the CDB Scholarship Monthly Planner. One has 150 nationwide scholarships for kindergarten through 12th grade students, and then we have another one for our college students. So it's the scholarship, it's the workshops. We also have our anti-violence events that we attend. So in January, I do an annual MLK event. We try to have volunteers come just so that, they can also be aware of the scholarship and pass scholarships out. We have our new annual winter trunk party. So, the one thing that we found from, local colleges is that there are a lot of freshmen. They come in, they may not have a parent that has a trunk party. First, I mean, most of them are like, what is a trunk party? Because it's only something that's really in our culture for them to really understand. And so to me, I thought it was important that if they're just coming with just their bags, why not provide an opportunity for them to have sheets and, I don't know, deodorant and, just the things that, that they might take for granted.
Right.
And so, we really try to center it around the school as well as the community.
When you said, I don't know why, but at first I thought you said a Trump, as in T.
Oh, no, God, no.
I'm like, whoa, wait a minute now. Hold on. Now,
No.
what are you talking about?
Right. You was like, okay, I think I might have had it wrong. Guess the way like.
Oh like, we may have to end this interview. I don't know what's going on here.
No, oh my goodness, no. I guess they would
Ooh,
call it a donation drive, like because when we did our first one with Rowan, and they're like,
mhm.
"What is that child party?" And I'm like, "Okay, let me just say donation drive, personal care drive."
Right. Okay. And yeah, and you're right, because you never know. Some of those students may have just barely made it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And
Yeah.
those little extras, they may not have it, or like you said, they didn't have
Yes.
anybody to you know get them together and say, okay, this is what you're gonna need, and that
No.
kind of thing. So I like that. Okay.
Thank you.
And when you do that, you do that in your like where you live at now in South Jersey.
So I did it in South Jersey, but I'm thinking of trying to branch out to. I have a friend of mine. Well, I partner with 100 Black Men as well. Like, so I partner with them with doing
Hmm.
the workshops,
Okay.
the Philadelphia chapter. But I'm thinking about either trying to reach out to Cheney or Lincoln. Like, I really want to see how it's going to impact the HBCUs. I don't, because I felt like it was great to have the experience with Rowan. Like, Rowan was really, they had the infrastructure there where they had like the up
Mhm.
pantry, like for students to come and to get like toiletries and food and things like that. But I want to partner with other organizations that really, or colleges I should say, that might really have the need.
Right. I got you. That makes
Mhm.
total sense. Okay. This is usually something I ask at the end, but it's in my spirit now. So let me ask.
Mhm.
So, what other types of things do you foresee coming, like down the pipeline in 2026 and beyond?
For the, just in general, for the nonprofit, or like the
What,
books, just anything.
whatever you want to share.
Um, I used to always say that, oh, I can see myself doing this globally.
Hmm.
But running a nonprofit, it's a huge undertaking. I can definitely see me continuing to keep it regional.
Okay.
But regional in these underserved communities. Like, maybe I'll expand to Delaware at some point. And I'm hoping that with that expansion that I can increase the number of awards, or like the frequency of them.
Got you. Okay. Okay. I like that.
Mhm.
And I totally get that. You know what I mean? That
Mhm.
like I mean like you said, it's not necessarily, taking it abroad or, things of that nature, but just being able to increase, do
Right.
do what you're doing, but be able to increase it, to further increase it, for other, communities that are, like you said, underserved.
Right. Increase it, but also, when it comes to the dollar amount, because the one thing that we recognize, especially during the workshops, is, people are like, I don't want to say people, but like parents or the kids might say, oh, that might not be enough. And it's like, listen, I would love to give you $50,000 if I had it, but, I
Right.
don't get grant funding. And it's probably a lot of people that aren't going to get it now with this current administration. So it's like, I would love it to give it to you, but
Right.
we need you guys to return the favor.
Right. Right. Yeah, I get that. So what we'll do, let's take a brief commercial break.
All right.
This actually, the whole Born to Lead docuseries actually grew out of a book that I was the visionary author for, titled Born to Lead: Awakening the Leader Within. And we focused on the innate leadership abilities in African American women. And that's why you have the docuseries. So the docuseries focuses on women and women in leadership. So
Mhm.
I'm going to show this quick commercial clip, if you will. If you're interested in the book, go and grab it off of Amazon or either Barnes and Noble. It may be
Mhm.
some other places as well, but those two places I know you can definitely grab it. So we will be
Okay.
right back momentarily.
All right.
Realizing Your Potential LLC presents Born to Lead: Awakening the Leader Within. This anthology brings together women that have overcome hardships in their lives and have managed not only to survive but thrive. Their stories focus on resiliency, adaptability, and strength, acknowledging the innate strength and leadership qualities in African American women.
All right, welcome back. Okay, so let's dive into a little bit about leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So, first, I'll ask you, when you think about leadership, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Mm. Knowledge, confidence, presenting with strength, being aware, being a person that can execute. I think you talked about being an executor earlier. I'm this is this one. It can be wrapped into a number of things. Like you have to be a number of things at one time to be a leader, and perception and how you present that leadership. That makes a big difference.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely. So, is there anything that you want to share in particular around that particular topic?
I think I always separate this. I know people say you shouldn't, as far as like leadership as a woman. I can only speak from my own experience, but my day job, I am a project data manager. I've been in the clinical research industry for 19 years. It's a good old boys network, and it is really, when they say the sky is the limit, the sky is the limit, to some degree. I mean, you can get into these leadership roles, but it's also about, like, are you presenting strength? Like, are you confident? Are they confident enough with you to be able to trust you with the information to lead? And do they see you as the person that they trust to be able to lead? Because it's also the how they sometimes perceive us as African American women. Like, do we have the capacity to do it? And so, as far as my day job, it's interesting. I feel like that's where the duality of what I'm doing day to day, by helping advance healthcare, how I kind of got into my nonprofit. Like, the biggest thing for me outside of my love for my father was just, I know that there are capable women who can do this very job if they're given the chance. I know that there are capable students that, if given the chance, with everything that, some of the students in these suburban neighborhoods have, we are still able to dominate in every other area, while you got your trust fund and while you have everything to get you there. I can guarantee you that our same students, if given the opportunity and if finances were not a part of the issue, that they would have that same leverage. And so I feel like, as a woman, and anytime it comes to leadership, it's also just about pushing past your no, but also pushing past what people see you as. Like, there are sometimes just within our culture where, I love like shows like these, for instance, where I can learn from someone like you and vice versa. But then there will be others where their perception of us is, sometimes with your culture, I just wonder, like, are you going to be comfortable presenting? Like it's, why wouldn't you? Like, where did you even get that I couldn't? So, I don't know. I think I always say present with strength and confidence, and, to always execute, and to be able to just lay that path out there, that despite what they think, I mean, there's really nothing you can do to change that. But I feel like being consistent in that area is what will continue to, help you grow.
Okay, because that was going to be my question. You kind of answered it, I believe, was how do you navigate that? Because I know, you're not the only one that's going through that and going through that. So I was, that was the first question is how would you navigate it? And I don't know if you might have any more to share, but if you do, go ahead. And then
Okay.
kind of extend it to if someone else that was listening to this show, what would be maybe the first step, to
Okay.
navigating it?
I think the first step is to not be reactionary.
Mm.
I think there's all these microaggressions and, who, again, perception of how we are perceived. No matter how much we're showing up, no matter how we're showing that we're doing the job, the first thing isn't to be reactionary. I think the other thing is sometimes when it comes to leadership or what we might think is that we might be ready for something, it's also about saying, are we also showing a demonstrated ability? Is no, I just want to actually have this title, because I recognize that as well, where I find that being a leader for this long, there's always going to be someone that's going to question whether, you're ready for it. And so it's like, okay, I'm proving that I'm ready because I have demonstrated ability. And so in my case, as a project manager during the day, I'm always about, I don't want to say competition, but I'm always about show me another project manager that has done what I've done in 12 months. Like I will list out, like, which is why I think it's so important as far as the reviews. It's really important to say, now if there's someone else who's done what I've done and you still don't feel like that I should be promoted or that I am capable of leading, I don't know what else you're looking for, like now it's up to you to tell me, like, well, what exactly do you want? You know what I mean? So, again, the first step is to not be reactionary. And I'm speaking from my own experience as well, to not run and to not jump ship. Maybe it just might be the manager that you have. You don't know what their agenda may be. Like maybe there's a threat, like maybe there's a, while she is capable and I want to try to keep, she or he is capable, and maybe I want to try to keep them there. But, I think it's also about knowing yourself and trusting your gut and knowing what it is that you have to offer. So even if it isn't at the current company that you're at, maybe it's starting your business, maybe it's starting a side hustle, maybe it's going somewhere else where you're valued and you're seen.
So let me just kind of go back, because when you first said don't be reactionary, I had a different idea. So
Okay.
let's so am I correct in saying that when you clarified that, you said like don't jump ship? Is that all you were referring to, or
I also mean like there are certain people, like where if someone gives you feedback for something, I'm not going to not be a professional. Like I don't have to respond in a way, where it's like I don't have to be snarky, have an attitude. Like, so starting with that, because again, that's the other, that's what's put on us from day one before we even start speaking. But then the jump ship part is like you're just allowing them to win, because if they want you to leave, they're going to always try to test that ability as well to see how you can handle it. So if you leave, they're winning, unless you go somewhere else and you just recognize that you are being seen. So
okay, all right. So yeah, so thank you for that, because there might have been some other people out there, because that was the first thing that came to my mind.
Okay.
About the angry Black woman, or you know what I mean.
Right.
So, okay. So thanks for clarifying that. And then I just, as we were talking, I just kind of thought about this. Have you ever had any experiences similar, to people doubting and things of that nature from other women?
That look like us, or women?
Both, either or.
Yes.
Okay.
Primarily the ones that don't look like us.
Okay.
And I just think it's really just a matter of them not wanting to know who we are outside of the job. So I feel like if you don't get a chance to know me, like, and for me, I try to get a chance to know my team, because it's really important for me to know like what they're going through and to establish some form of trust with them, so that if I need to, which I never would, if I had to call somebody at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I work globally, like I want them to be able to answer the phone and vice versa, like have that relationship, because it's really relationship before task. Now, if it's somebody that's just, if there's someone that doesn't look like me and the conversation is you don't even care like whether or not I have something going on, which I have, like I had a surgery like 7 months ago. And so, my manager, she was very empathetic, but it didn't change the fact that, she still couldn't, I don't want to say unempathetic, but I still couldn't understand like why, like she tried to have a conversation with me and said, but I still need you, to be a little bit more, independent on this specific project. And so, I know I just kind of like led into an example, but I'm saying like, okay, so I just came back from having surgery and you're saying you want me to do more. Like, when haven't I done it prior? So it's a tough thing. That of another color, but then of ours, it's sometimes trying to understand. I haven't really run into it lately, but I feel like when it comes to us, sometimes you're just kind of wondering, is it a competition? Is it like, what's your agenda behind it? Like, can we really work together?
Okay. My next question for you is, what do you feel makes you stand out and makes you an exceptional leader?
One, I'm very transparent. Not necessarily giving up all the tape, but transparent enough that if people need to understand a process. So when they're not really aware of a process, or they're not really aware of what they're doing, it's harder for them to, it's harder for you to be a leader, like if you're not being transparent with your team or your colleagues. I think being authentic, I think that's super important, coupled with consistency, because what I find that's really hard when it comes to certain leaders is, if someone is inconsistent or you're really up and down, I need to know what I'm dealing with. Like that's the one thing. Because then it's like, when I know what I'm dealing with, then it's like I can either deal with you cordially, I can deal with you just like however, like, but that's super important. Being knowledgeable, like I know you're like laughing at this because you're laughing at the same time, but it's true.
Yeah, I know. I'm like that too. I get manager or whomever. It's like that is a huge, huge way to make me deal with you less if I don't really know what sort of bag you're gonna come out of.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that I feel you on that, definitely.
And be the same person every time with everybody. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the part for me. It's like, you're not going to know that I'm going to have a bad day. I mean, outside of me having to have surgery, that had to be done. But like, I'm going to treat everybody the exact same. I don't feel like there's anyone that's below me or above. So if I get that energy as well, that's going to also make a difference. And I think also you just being knowledgeable, like me, myself, I'm going to, try to find the information as best as I can. And if I don't, then let me at least find someone that can give it to you. But even when it comes to me taking leadership from somebody, you have to know something, because if it's not anything up there, I'm not going to be able to respect you, number one. And then I'm going to question, okay, wait, so you're questioning me about if I can do this, my capacity, when I don't think it's like the elevator isn't like, it's not going to work.
that don't work for me. Well, you know what? I'm a huge advocate. Everybody, like you said, the transparency piece. We are human. We don't know everything. You know what I mean? We make mistakes. So I like that with the transparency piece, and not feeling like you have to know everything, because I don't like it when I go to someone and you sitting there, you've asked a question and you can tell that they're kind of just what's the word? Like kind of just floating through it, like basically BSing. And you just be sitting there like, you just told me you didn't know or you weren't sure, but you know who does know, and you'll get back with
Right.
me. Like that
Right.
that would give me so much more respect for you versus you just sitting there, pretending or putting
Yeah.
on the air like you know what you're talking about. But I know full well you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean?
But I think that's what I talked about too, about the perception. Like if you
Yeah.
want me to perceive you as a leader and you
Right.
want me to perceive you a certain way, so in your mind you feel like you have to have all the answers, and
Right.
sometimes you don't. And
Yep.
I think that just relates to, you don't have to have all the answers, but kind of know where to go to get it.
Hmm.
um that's my thing.
Yeah. Because and this is, I was gonna say this is different, but I guess it's really not different because, being a leader, first of all, you have to lead yourself, and you know, my audience, I cater to women, entrepreneurs, influencers,
Mm-hmm.
and just like I don't know everything. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I may be cool, I may be really good with, talking with people because I enjoy talking to people. I like meeting new people. I like finding out what makes them tick. You know what I mean? What they get excited about, what keeps them up at night. I like
Mm-hmm.
those types of things. But like maybe when it comes to, I don't know, like I need to get a new software for my emails, my
Mm-hmm.
email marketing. And some people like that kind of stuff. They like going online and doing all the research and, oh, this one does this. Oh, this one
Right.
does that. I don't care about none of that. Listen, just do the research and give me the two top contendants, and tell me which one you prefer, and this one does this versus
Right.
that. I can be like, I'll take that one. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
that's also part of, like you said, the transparency. Like you don't know everything, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know everything, but I
Mm-hmm.
know who likes to do that kind of thing. I know who to go to. You
Right.
know what I mean? And to me, all of
Right.
that's a part of being a good leader, and also makes you more successful in your business, whatever sort of business you have, you
No,
know.
I agree. I mean, because as you're speaking about it, one, you're also being open to it. Like, this is a ever changing, like podcasting, having a
Mhm.
book, a nonprofit,
Right.
being open to the fact that there's things that just can be done differently. And I feel like that's something that you can take with you in leadership no matter what. Like, I feel like part of my successes are, being open. I mean, I didn't even know how to work social media like before I started. I didn't even want to be on it. I'm a
Me
super
either.
private person.
I'm not super private, but I just didn't have
Mhm.
time for it. Like I'm a
Right.
Virgo, I'm a earth sign, and I'm like really like no fluff.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yep.
so I wasn't even. I remember when they had what was it called? Remember MySpace?
Oh my God. Yes.
So it was like I was like, I don't need that. Facebook came out. I was like, okay, and I
Hmm.
got an account, but I never went on it.
Hmm.
People would be like, girl, why didn't you see such and such post on? I'm like, no, I don't have
Right.
to be sitting down scrolling through folks' posts and what, like
Yes.
in my mind, what am I commenting on the post? So I can just pick up the phone,
Right.
you know.
Right.
But it's like as a business owner,
Hmm.
I use the heck out of it now. You know what I mean? But it was like I kind of came kicking and screaming, if you will. You know,
Yep.
but I have learned that you just kind of have to be open to trying
Hmm.
new things. And now
Hmm.
everything is changing like that. Like we sitting here doing this recording. As we doing this, StreamYard is coming up with other additional features that I got to
Hmm.
figure out and learn how to use it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? As
Yep.
soon as you
Yep.
get used to something, they like, oh, we added this, we added that. But just like
Right.
you said, just having that open mind, and just sometimes you just kind of got to go with the flow.
Right.
Go with the flow, and like you said, be transparent, know when you need to reach out for help, and be
Hmm.
okay with doing it. Because a lot of
Yeah.
us, and this is kind of a, well, no, this is on topic. This is on topic. I
Hmm.
found that a lot of us, and especially us as women, and for some reason, especially us as African American women,
Hmm.
sometimes we don't want to delegate. We feel like, if I want it done right, I need to do it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
you you won't be able to scale your business that way.
Right.
You won't be able to scale that way. But I also think that, again, that's another part of leadership, is being able
Mm-hmm.
to know what your strengths are and what some of the areas are that you're, I don't want to say weak, but that
Right.
it's not your area of expertise.
Right.
You can be a jack of all trades,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know, and just being able to understand that, and being able to knowing how to select the appropriate people to do those things and letting them do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, it speaks to, like you said, it's having that awareness.
Right.
Like for me, I was trying to, like, for instance, have interns do like all the social media stuff, the posting
Okay.
and all those things. Like a double-sided opportunity for them to volunteer. So I'm like,
Hmm.
I've learned to get better at it, but I'm like, that's something I want to be able to delegate. So it's certain things, like you said, just having like that level of awareness, um, because you really just cannot. First of all, you don't have the bandwidth to do everything. There are some days I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to sit still,
Hmm.
and it just doesn't happen that way.
Hmm.
But I try to look at it as, how important is it to me? Like something like this is important for me to be at versus, obviously, oh.
Right. Like, could I build a website, a very small website? I'm sure I could.
Mm-hmm.
It may take me a month,
Yeah.
whereas somebody that's their thing, it might take them a week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then it's a thing of, I could do it, but do I need to do it? Is
Mm-hmm.
it necessary for me to
Mm-hmm.
do
Yep. Yep.
it? So,
I agree.
right. Do I look, my whole head would be gray. You know what I'm saying? I did my website. Be like, girl, but you look like last week, or the month ago, you only had gray up here. Now it's all back here because I just had to do that website. You know, but
Listen, you're an author, so being an author in a business, oh, you see, I'm all an extra black. I listen, you already, I know, trust me, like that. This is the side people also don't see to leadership. Like there's a
yeah.
sacrifice, that
Mhm.
whether it's your hair, your vision, because I mean, I'm going on probably 6 eyes underneath everything. Like you got to be willing to say, like,
Mhm.
what am I going to do to be able to lead? And if you know that you have an audience that wants to be able to hear what you have to say, am I ready for that sacrifice?
That's right. Yep. Yep. So we're gonna go ahead and get ready to wrap up our interview. So I'm gonna ask you now a couple of things. One, what do you want to leave the audience with? And two, go ahead and let them know, like, what social media platforms you are, active on. If you have a website,
Mhm.
give them that. Basically, if they want to follow up with you or want to, contact you to kind of see what you got going on or connect with you.
Mhm. I think what I want to leave people with is, kind of like the thing that I always remember in the back of my mind is, always represent your jersey. Like I'm always representing my last name because of, it's very few Khadijah Butlers out here, especially in the industry that I'm in now. Like it's very, um, you know, who you are and how you show up in every area is a representation of you. And so that'll shine through whether it's leadership or not. As far as where to find me, I am on at CDB Scholarship at all platforms. Website is www.craigbutlerscholarship.com. YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. I'm pretty much on
So
everything.
you everywhere, huh?
Yes, everywhere.
Yeah, I can be everywhere when I have a social media manager. Then I can be everywhere. Like right
Yeah.
now, I'm managing it. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Okay. That's a start.
Yeah, because I don't want to be, just speaking of that, I don't want to be in so many places
Mm-hmm.
and I can't even get to the platforms, even interact or do what I need to do to get the most out of it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
yeah, not
Right.
addressing that. So thank you so much for being on the show. It was a pleasure,
Thank you.
learning
Thank you
about
for having
you.
me.
Yeah, and what you do. And I look forward to us continuing, in some form of fashion to, continue to connect,
Most
or maybe
definitely.
some sort of a collaboration, somewhere later down the lines. And I'll be
Yes.
reaching out to you again.
I love that.
Definitely. So if we're gonna go ahead and end now, thank you all so much for joining us for this particular episode for the Born to Lead docu-series with Miss Khadijah Butler. Go ahead, look her up, connect with her. And, if you are definitely looking to do a nonprofit, or you have a child that's in need of a scholarship, this is your person.
Mhm.
Don't hesitate to reach out to her. So, and also, again, if you're interested in being interviewed for the Born to Lead docu-series, look me up. Like I said, I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook under Dr. Jacqueline Kabah Harrison. You can find me there. Let's connect and basically let's make it happen. Or if there's any other collaborative opportunity that you think I might be interested in, definitely look me up. I love to collaborate. And I'll just say it again, the Realizing Your Potential TV network. You can download the app on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku TV. And we're also on the iOS app as well as the Android app. So make sure that you download it, okay? That way you can stay up to date with all of the other individuals I'm going to be interviewing for the Born to Lead docu-series, because I'm ramping up again. I got a slew of women that you're definitely going to want to hear from. So make sure you stay tuned. All right. So everyone take care and until next time. All right. Goodbye now.